This is an Overwatch Hero Showcase starring Bastion, the Overwatch team's favorite depressed robot. Now you might be thinking, but Kappaclysm, he's not depressed, he's the most happy-go-lucky Bastion unit on this side of Eisenwald. But that's the thing, he's the only Bastion unit on any side of Eisenwald. All the other Bastion units were wiped out in battle, and somehow he is the only survivor. And we're all happy for that now, aren't we?
And this is a long one, so it's going to take me a little while to get this right, so forgive me if my reading's off. It reads, Bastion.
You're telling me this piece of shit couldn't have caught a stray bullet so there would have been no living Bastion units? Thanks, Blizzard. But this is what I'm talking about. It's understandable that he might be looking forward to the sweet relief of death, because not only is he the only one left of his kind, he also happens to be the most hated character in the game of Overwatch, and quite possibly the second most hated character in any competitive game to date, only second behind Satan himself. Teemo. But enough of that. As much as it pains me to talk about this disgustingly toxic character, I'll go on to explain his abilities, and maybe, together, we can grow to show compassion for this misunderstood robot, once we know exactly what he does. No, actually, screw compassion. This ability alone is the reason why Bastion is such a hated character, and why the only requirement to do well on him is that you have a right hand that is able to operate a mouse, and a slight degree of low self-esteem, and just a pinch of self-loathing. And if you're the type of person to choose this character, I don't think you have to worry about your self-esteem. It's about as low as it can get. Reconfigure causes Bastion to change into an immobile turret form that is pretty self-explanatory of how to use. In case it's not clear to you, here's a clip of me demonstrating how to use this ability effectively. And that's how you play Bastion, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Alright, fine. I suppose I should talk about the rest of his abilities. Bastion's Z ability is called Self-Repair, and honestly, to me, it seems severely underpowered. Not because its amount of healing is low or anything. Actually, after its buff where Bastion can move while using it, it's not that bad. My problem with it is that it can only heal external physical wounds, but it does nothing to cure the wounds left by hateful remarks from wannabe Grandmaster level team composition creators. Let me show you what I mean.
Oh, no, don't do Bastion on a control map, please. What? Why? Bastion, can you swap to what do we need? A Reinhardt or second heals, please? Bastion, would you mind swapping, please?
Yo, Kappa, can you play Diva? Well, I mean, I want to win.
I guess we have to play the Bastion, right?
Yes, we have to play around the best.
Get them off our objective now!
Come on, man, don't.
Well, that was a good hold.
Don't do it. I mean, I'm not playing my favorite character because I want to win, so please don't troll. Or then I'm gonna feel obliged to troll as well.
Final score 1.
Thanks for the free loss, bud.
Why the troll, mate?
Now on to Bastion's ultimate ability. Like most other angsty preteen robots, Bastion reacts to all of his berating and belittlement by releasing his pent-up anger and aggression in the form of a 30-ton fast-moving military-grade killing machine equipped with a main cannon capable of firing highly explosive anti-tank rounds. I mean, that's just to be expected after all the shade thrown at him. And the ability does its job pretty well. The moment all of Bastion's haters hear the bone-rattling, terrifying sound of his ultimate being used, they simultaneously think of the best way of apologizing to Bastion to defuse the situation and shit themselves. But there's no sympathy in those cold, lifeless eyes after all the years of being called a useless garbage character from some kid in his mother's basement that's too young to visit Disney.com without an adult. Oh no. Bastion doesn't stop until everyone gets what they deserve. Or until the timer for his ult is up and it becomes useless again. But what I really want to get into are some tips and tricks on how to play Bastion at a higher level so that it can be known as a great pick for any team comp instead of a cry for help and attention. So here we go. Bastion is no longer as reliant on his turret form, and in fact, he should not be in his turret form for the majority of the game. Overwatch's developers decided to add to the Bastion hate and make it so that his turret form is much less accurate and therefore much less useful. Now, the main use of his turret form is in close quarters and to break down barriers like Reinhardt and Orisa's shields. Instead, you should be making use of his buff where his regular weapon while out of turret form is a lot more accurate and he can heal on the move. This way you can accurately lay down some damage while keeping yourself sustained throughout a fight. And I know, as soon as you see that ultimate bar hit 100%, you immediately think to slam that Q button in hopes to finally contribute to your team. But hear me out. Before you beat that Q button harder than Adrian Peterson beat his kid, tell your team that your ult is up and see if you can synergize with someone else on your team. The chances are no one on your team kept their ultimate long enough to use theirs with you, but the 1 out of 100 times that Zarya drops her sweet Graviton Surge, you better be ready. And without these tips, I don't think my competitive rank would be where it is today. Wait. But guys, the main reason I wanted to release this video was to spread awareness for the horrible treatment this poor robot has been getting. I invite you to see the world through his eyes, or eye. All he wants to do is live long enough to travel the world in hopes to find more of his kind, to prove that he is not the only living Bastion unit on the planet. But on his travels, all he meets are blonde-banged, chubby-cheeked punk kids that insult him at every turn. Guys, maybe all of his beeps and boops have been a cry for help this whole time. Maybe he's just looking for a friend. And maybe he's hoping for a time where instead of being met with anger and hatred, he can find someone that shows him love and compassion.
Bastion.